Saludos mi gente, yo soy Tony Acevedo, esto es De Aquí, como siempre de Aquí Sin Filtro, donde hacemos tremendas entrevistas. Y hoy ando por Jayuya, de hecho, ando por Jayuya y no ando en algo de turismo. Estoy aquí porque tengo que hacer una entrevista súper buena. Recuerda suscríbete a este canal, dale like, compártelo, déjanos los comentarios, dale a la campanita, ya tú sabes. Me encuentro hoy aquí con una persona que es un director, productor, editor, escritor de películas y precisamente quizás pueda sonarle raro a algunos, películas de terror. Estoy aquí con Julian Terry. Hi, Julian.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing great, and I really want to thank you for taking this time. I know you're on vacation,
Oh yeah.
but I had to impose and get this interview, and I wanted people also to meet you. Julian, de hecho, tiene raíces boricuas, ¿no? Su abuelo es de aquí de Jayuya, así que su mamá, aunque no nació aquí, también tiene las raíces boricuas, y él está aquí de visita y es labrador, de hecho, casi igual que yo, ¿no? We have that same last name. Julian, let's start with, we're going to do this in English, and then I'll have it with captions on it, so it'll be better for you. But anyway, I want to know, how's your Spanish?
Ooh, I'm not good. I'm trying to relearn it right now, honestly. But I can understand a good chunk here and there.
And I suppose, you know, what everyone that comes down here and needs to learn Spanish, first thing they learn is bad words.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So I'm sure you're good at that.
I know a couple of those. Yeah.
So let's go now to what brings you here and what brings you to this interview.
Oh yeah.
Movies.
Mhm.
And you specialize more in short films, horror movies.
Yeah.
Now, why? Why horror movies?
Ooh, good question. I just I love suspense. I think suspense is the most fun. It's the most fun genre. You can put it in anything, honestly. But I loved doing comedies for a long time, and the comedies were so much fun to make. And they were all building up to a big joke at the end.
Okay.
But this was about, oh, can I make a scare? And it became a lot of fun to find different ways to scare people. You know, we tried, instead of making a cemetery scary or a basement, we were like, what if we can make a Nintendo Switch scary, like a video game scary, like for kids? And I think that's what made it more compelling, was finding new ways to freak people out.
You know, I don't know much about it, but I think, and you can correct me with this, that making scary movies or making a horror film, even a short film, and making a comedy are two things that I think are more difficult than making like an action movie, for example, because in an action movie, you just put a lot of special effects and put people to fight and everybody's waiting for that. But in a horror movie, you have to make sure you scare people.
Oh yeah, I think that's the thing with the comedy as well.
And in the comedy, you have to make sure they laugh.
Yeah, you know, I think that's the thing, is like you need to elicit an actual emotion. And, you know, with a drama, it doesn't have to make you cry. It's a show. It's actually good. But yeah, you know, effective horror movies are the ones that scare you and they haunt you afterwards. And I think it's so beautiful to make something that really, you have to make sure it really does scare somebody.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times it's, I think about for me, I always think of what are those images that haunt me. And as a kid walking through a Blockbuster and seeing those VHS covers, those were the scariest for me. Seeing like Freddy Krueger and, you know, Jason Voorhees and what was it? I think... you know, Dead Alive with the face thing. It was so creepy to me. And I was scared. I'd run through the house and I'm like, what if I could scare myself? Like, what's the inner me that would freak out? And
why short movies, why short films and not a long length thing?
So, I mean, it's really just budget. A lot of money is the issue. But I make a lot of these shorts because you can get experimental and you can shoot it with just a few friends.
Okay.
And it makes it a lot of fun to just try something new and just shoot it over a night with a couple of friends of yours. Like, we'll shoot with just 3 or 4 people and we'll just get some food and film it in my bedroom. And what's so much fun is, you know, figuring little something new on the set and coming up with new ideas. But this summer I'm shooting my first movie.
Okay.
And so that's going to be happening in July. It's going to be announced sometime soon, but I'm very excited for my first movie and cross my fingers we go to the movie theaters. But yeah, it's been very exciting. And yeah, I'm very excited to release something that's going to be long form, and it's very suspenseful. It's suspenseful throughout the whole time. That's
You know, I'm not really a fan of horror movies, but I see your short films, and I've noticed that you end these short films always with this face coming out. Is that like a trademark or something that you always put there in your movies?
You know, I think it's funny. Some people were like, "Why don't you let it sit in darkness? And why don't you let?" And I'm like, "Yeah." But there's something about rewarding somebody with like a jump, because you're so stressed, you need a release at the end, a good scream to let it out. And I think it's the most fun to like because if you end it and people are just kind of like, well, what happened? You know, I think it's always fun to deliver something, to show something. It's like,
and it really stays, this is the end.
Yes, yeah. You know, you want to give your punchline, your joke punchline to a comedy. You got to end with a joke, and it's same thing with horror. You want to end with something that's going to stay with them. And so a lot of times it's, how do you end it with something very eerie? And a lot of times I just love creatures so much. And some of my favorite creatures have stayed with me. And my favorite movies are all like, from Jaws, Jurassic Park, and all monsters. And I always try to come up with a new one. Then, it's usually just a friend with like a goofy mask on. It's a lot of fun. But I think it's all about just being creative with what you have, with like 3 friends and a camera, and what can you make. But
and another thing is that I think that short films really work better in the scary part, because when it's a long film, there's a moment where you get kind of used to it. And even if it's a series, well, it works. Like, I don't know if it's really a horror movie, The Walking Dead, but I think that's more like, but at some point I saw it more a movie not about the walkers, but about all the people they're surviving one against the other. So, it just stopped to be like scary. It was more what's going to happen to these people against those other people.
It becomes almost a character drama, and it's funny how a lot of, long form shows, it's tough to keep the horror presence. And, with movies, it's very true as well. I think that's why it's great to one up it with each time. And also, it's also so important to build up to these moments. But I can't make it's tough to make some of these shorts a long form movie, because it's like, what are you going to keep doing the same scare the whole time? You can't do that. You have to keep figuring something new out. And I think the most fun movies to me are the ones that build suspense, like Jaws. They take forever to show the shark, and it's the most fun. And it's so scary, and you finally see it just eat somebody, and he's blood everywhere. It's crazy.
I really get hooked up with these films that you make that happen in a room, because you're closed in there and it's dark, and you used to like beautifully.
Thank you.
And so, how many short films have you made?
Oh, it's a little. I think. I shot. The last one was actually a camera test that I just turned into a short. It was a vertical one that was funny, but that one, I guess, has been 4. I just shot a 5th one recently. And the 5th one should be coming out very soon, within a month or so. And that's about a DoorDash delivery driver going to the wrong house.
I saw something written about it.
Yeah, and I love that stuff, where it's a little bit of technology and what makes things work for today, and it's reworking stuff that we've all seen before, but in a fun way that we haven't tried. And I think it's really
from all that you've done, is there a masterpiece?
Oh, a masterpiece of them?
And that you say, this is my masterpiece.
Oh, I don't know if there's a masterpiece, but I will say, I have. It's funny, when you watch these shorts, it's easy to be so critical. And I think the fun thing is when you, for me, when I watch them, they're all memories. And like, Don't Peek is one of my favorites, because we were all trapped in the apartment, and it was just 3 of us. And it was just, what can we throw together? And it was really funny. I got my roommate Alex, he's like literally in his underwear with like a silly mask on in the corner, and we were all laughing. But it was it's like the memories of making that was way more fun. And I think that one was up there. But honestly, my favorite is still probably They Hear It. They Hear It was one that was insane because
I think I saw that.
Yeah.
It's the little kids.
The little kids and the dog.
Goes outside.
Yeah.
The dog, like,
dog.
you know.
It snowed on us. It was crazy in California. It was crazy in Fraser Park, and yeah, it was so funny because we were filming this, and the wild thing was we were just trying to see what we can come up with, and these kids brought it. There's so much fear out of there. They have a great video where there's this little girl. She's so brave, little Ari Walters. She was fearless, and I was like, we're in the dark, and I had to move quick, and I'm like, okay, what scares you? What's something that will frighten you so we can really get the performance? And she looked at me, and she's like, no. And I'm like, does nothing scare you here? We're in the dark. And she's like, nothing scares me. I'm like, anything in the world. And she's like, sharks. And I'm like, well, we're not in sharks. We're not in the ocean. And so I was like, okay, pretend. I had her have a flashlight, and I was like, pretend there's a shark fin over there, and she would turn the flashlight, and so she ended up getting into it, thinking they were like land sharks or something, and she was really, it's all about playing pretend with...
yeah, and that's the thing of being a director, right? You have to know how to move your actors, and
a lot of times it's silly, though. On set, the monsters look so silly, like, you laugh your butt off, and you're like, I hope this looks good, and I hope we can make it scary later with the music, because the horror movies without music, it's just very funny.
I was going to ask you that. What are the main elements of getting this, getting this to work? And, well, the music is obvious, you have to have that. It has to match. It has to match. Like I was seeing Daniel has to play.
Oh, yeah.
He wants to play.
Dan wants to play, yeah.
And, the music, the score for that is great. And just stay there. You're like with that girl in the game.
Well, that's the thing. It's so much fun to... It's really about making a fun impact with, honestly, it's all of it's the sound design too. The sound design and making all the weird sounds to the like weird creature, like, those fun sounds to come up with. We'll put the iPhone and record a weird sound, and like we'll come up with a bunch of ideas. And then you're like, oh, this is good, but what would be creepy outside the doorway? And you're like, oh, 1 second, you take off your shoes and run barefoot on the wood floor, and that's really creepy. If you heard that from the dark, that's frightening. And I think that's really fun, is coming up with what are the sounds that will stay in your head that aren't even in the music, and then the music complements it. But it's really in the I take away all dialogue with all these shorts, because once you say hello, it's very silly. But if you go ahead, when you're really scared, you listen carefully, and you make all those little sounds, the creaks in the wood floor. How do you show a hallway that's dark? I like showing a little light in there, so you look closer. It's
true, because in that one of Daniel, you start looking. I start looking. There's something is gonna be there, and I'm just kept on looking for it until when she saw it, I saw it.
Oh yeah. Her reaction's phenomenal. Oh my gosh, she has.
I really love it. I like to see all these creativity, really, because I like editing. I like graphic design and all that. So when I see this, I'm really amazed. So I like your films.
Thank you so much.
How do people see you? What are your, where can they? You're on Instagram, you're on YouTube, you're on
Instagram and YouTube. Instagram,
all your social media, so people can connect.
Of course. Instagram is just at Julian Movies, and then YouTube, I believe it's just Julian Terry. But I want to go ahead and let you know, like, if you just type in "Don't Peek" on YouTube, that's the first one that pops up. It's like the most hits. But that one, that one's such a fun one to look back on, just because we threw it together with like just some fun, exciting energy, where we're like, oh, what if we put a lamp in the window and put some blue on it and made it moonlight, and it's very silly, but it looks somewhat okay, and it was fun.
Normally, a short film lasts how long?
I think it depends. The first couple I made were just 2 minutes long.
Okay.
And then I kind of got into 10 minutes long here. And the last one was 13 minutes long, but I've been cutting it down because I don't want to have anything over 10.
And how long does it take to film?
Oh, depends. Some of these you shoot in 4 hours, and you go really quickly. Some, I get a little excited, and I shoot over like 2 nights or something. And you get really... and my friends will get angry at me if I go too long, because they're always trying to shoot for nothing. And but it's always tough on the actor who has to wear the mask, because it's so tight on their face. They like will only want to be in that for a few minutes. They're like, oh no, they're like, film it. It's funny, but yeah, it's really quick and it's a lot of fun. I'll play music on set a lot because a lot of times I won't record sound on set.
Okay.
And so what I'll do is just play scary music to keep the actor in the scene. And then I'll go ahead and when they're all scared, and I'm always operating the camera, and so it's really fun to go ahead and like really feel how creepy the shot is. And you know, I think it's really fun just to come up with a playlist of all the scary movies, from anything from Psycho, Shining, even up to Hereditary, or Insidious. Like there's so many good scary movie music that's out there, and I just love to play it all. Wow. And freak everyone out on set.
So being low budget, being with a small crew, I think you're directing, your camera, you're doing everything.
A little bit, yeah. But that's important to have. There's always, I find the most successful directors for like the low budget stuff, they always have a good producer with them. And the producers can also, like if they need to grab a light, they can move a light, or you can bounce ideas. And I for all the short films, my best friend Alex Anderson, he has been there. He's the monster all the time in our short films, but he's also like moving the lights, or I'm having to shoot this way and he's maneuvering a light there. Yeah, you know, it's always important to have somebody on set to bounce ideas off of, and me and him always go back and forth with that. But it's important to look at the end and be like, oh, you know, you can do a little of everything. Like in post, you know, he might work on making the monster mask even smilier and take away the eyes, and you know, I'll go ahead and add color, and it's fun to find people that are willing to work with you, like a film family of people to make these projects.
So what's in the future for Julian Terry?
Well, the big one is right now the movie that just got greenlit, and we're shooting it this summer. And yeah, you know, the title's definitely changing, but we're excited to shoot very soon in July. And that's, you know, it's coming up, and cross my fingers, but we start casting very shortly. And yeah, I'm very pumped. I really want to come out to the island though and shoot movies. You know,
I was going to ask you that. Any plan for shooting here? There are places that you can.
Oh yeah.
Or,
you know, the Devil's Sentry Box has really inspired me a lot too. That one, I was like, oh,
great.
I think there's something fun about. The problem is it's so beautiful on this island is the thing. It's tough to make it scary. Like you look around, it's just gorgeous out here. So you really have to figure out how to make a house creepy out here because it's just so pretty. But it's, yeah, the dream would be to make movies out here, like, you know, in every genre possible. It's beautiful, you know.
So we look forward for that, seeing you, because whenever it happens, I'll be there.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be there because I want to see it. I like to see what this is producing.
I want to see a camera on your face during the horror ones, though. I want to see you get scared.
Yeah, it could happen. So, Julian, thank you so much.
Oh, no, thank you.
I know you're on vacation. I took your time. This wasn't even rehearsed, you know.
This
improvised totally. I saw the play, said, wait, I have to take this and make this interview. So, thank you so much. Mi gente, si a usted le gustan las películas de misterio, de terror, tienen que ver los películas, los films cortos de Julian Terry. Nosotros vamos a poner todos los enlaces de sus redes sociales para que se conecten. Lo vamos a poner aquí y quizás le añadamos un pedacito de alguno de estos cortos aquí en esta entrevista para que lo disfruten. Recuerda que esto es De Aquí Sin Filtro. Dale like, compártelo, déjanos tus comentarios. ¿Qué quieres que pongamos luego, más tarde, a quién traigamos? Pero hoy, Julian Terry, de vacaciones en Puerto Rico, desde Chicago, pero you're en Los Ángeles. Está en Los Ángeles, está produciendo, pronto viene una película completa, entonces de aquí.